Good morning and welcome to Rising. We've got a great show for you today. It is Wednesday and there's a lot of news happening in Washington, D.C. I'm once again joined by my friend Marianne Williamson. Hello, Marianne.
Hey, Robby. A lot is going on in the world, and hopefully the show today will help us process some of it.
Yes, we're going to have a lot of interesting discussions today. Let's start with the big news about the Atlantic's group chat inclusion. There's an update to this story. The Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, has released the actual text from the group chat disputing the Trump administration's contention that they were not actually war plans. Now, as you probably know already, Goldberg was accidentally added into a White House Signal group chat that was discussing an incoming attack on the Houthis. Goldberg had decided to redact some of those texts because he believed the specific information could have put American military lives in danger if an adversary had gotten a hold of them. That was what he said.
Here is Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth yesterday addressing the situation.
First, all I would say is the strikes against the Houthis that night were devastatingly effective. As I also stated yesterday, nobody's texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe told Congress during a hearing yesterday that there was no classified information in the Signal group. In their headline, The Atlantic characterized the text as attack plans as opposed to war plans.
In response to The Atlantic publishing the new text, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt wrote on X, The Atlantic has conceded that these were not war plans. This entire story was another hoax written by a Trump hater who is well known for his sensationalist spin. Now I'm going to read the texts so you can hear and see them for yourself. Here they are. They're going to appear on screen. It begins at 11:44 a.m. on Saturday, March 15th, with Hegseth writing, "Time now, 11:44, weather is favorable, just confirmed with CENTCOM, we are a go for mission launch." The next message says, F-18s launch, they're the first strike package. Then another text that says, trigger-based F-18 first strike window starts, target terrorist is at his known location, so should be on time. Also, strike drones launch, MQ-9s. Then another text saying more F-18s launch, that's the second strike package. Strike drones on target, this is when the first bombs will definitely drop, pending earlier trigger-based targets. Second strike starts, it's another F-18 second strike starts, also first sea-based Tomahawks launched, more to follow per timeline. We are currently clean on OPSEC, that is operational security. Godspeed to our warriors.
Then Vice President Vance wrote, I will say a prayer for victory. Then Walt said, VP building collapsed, had multiple positive ID. Pete, Carilla, the IC, amazing job.
A confused Vance then responded, what? Waltz responded, typing too fast, the first target, their top missile guy. We had positive ID on him walking into his girlfriend's building. It's now collapsed. Vance then responded, excellent.
Afterward, Ratcliffe wrote, a good start.
Waltz then followed the now notorious first emoji, American flag emoji, and fire emoji response. Secretary of State Marco Rubio responded, good job, Pete, and your team. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller then said, great work all, powerful start. Hegseth responded, CENTCOM is on point. Great job all, more strikes ongoing for hours tonight, and we'll provide full initial report tomorrow, but on time, on target, and good readouts so far. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles also congratulated the team and shouted out CENTCOM. Here's Counselor to the President Alina Habba responding to Goldberg releasing the text.
It is what it is. At the end of the day, this is, in my opinion, something that they're making a big to-do about nothing. This reporter, that is trying to get clout that I also saw was on TV last night, trying to brand his own name and talk about this. I'm not surprised. It's The Atlantic. I frankly have never read The Atlantic. I don't plan to. But we answered the questions. I'm going to defer to those answers from the cabinet. Listen, we're allowed to have communications. That's period, the end. And the president spoke to this. We stand by Mike Waltz. He's doing a tremendous job. I think this is a distraction. I'm really not going to stand here and answer questions that the better part of yesterday was spent by the people that were actually involved answering. I was not a part of that conversation, but I will say this. We need to be looking at all the good things that we're doing, and every time to come out and to speak to the press and have it be a negative spin, it's much like what I've done for the better of 4 years. The negative spin needs to stop.
So the behind the scenes here is somewhat interesting. So Jeffrey Goldberg had initially not included some of these details because he said that he thought it was sensitive information and would not be appropriate to share. Now, I similarly, like a lot of skeptical anti-media people, don't always trust the mainstream media's characterization of information. So, and then given that the Trump administration said this is not classified material, then it would seem you should just, publish all of it. So they asked the Trump administration, can we just publish all of it? And the Trump administration said, well, we still don't want you to do that. But they went ahead and did it anyway. So now you can see for yourself. That's clearly, whether it's war plans or battle plans or attack plans, is kind of not an important distinction to me. It was precise coordinating the operations in, with a little bit of warning. So theoretically, if someone had been in that chat who was hostile to America, they could have warned the Houthis or Houthi allies that strikes were incoming. So that was not good, and it is a breach of security to have included an unfriendly journalist in the chat, and I think Trump world should be mad about it. We're going to talk more about the reaction within the White House a little bit later, but for now, what do you make of this?
Well, I think that politicians love to think of the American people as stupid, but we're not stupid. And people know that attack plans are war plans. I find it astounding what you just read and what we just read together. These are attack plans. These are specifics. And also the attitude with which they discuss the deaths of people is really quite something. No, what's happening here is specifically, excuse me?
The deaths of terrorists.
Yes, they are the deaths of people that are enemies, and I'm not even saying that they should not have been killed. But I've read enough of the way Franklin Roosevelt and Churchill and others wrote about necessary deaths. But let's go back to the larger point, which is now. So the White House is clearly taking the strategy that, number one, they were going to throw Goldberg under the bus. Let's just shoot the messenger. And Goldberg came back and said, excuse me. And then he published the actual text, which he'd redacted originally because he wanted to protect that information. He had tried to be a good citizen. They then threw him under the bus. And this statement from the White House is absolutely absurd. Guys, just look at the good things we're doing. Nixon went to China. Nixon established the Environmental Protection Agency. He did a lot of good stuff. And he was impeached, would have been impeached over Watergate. The fact that they might have done some good things has nothing to do with this egregious mistake. Yes, these were battle plans. Yes, these were war plans. Yes, they were shared on Signal. And you probably know, Robby, there was a lot of talk yesterday online, some people saying that they actually used Signal purposely, not thinking that Goldberg would be there, of course, but they used it purposely because Signal messages are not saved. And if you use a secure communications platform, the way they're supposed to, then all communications are saved for posterity, as they should be, in case anything illegal occurred. So this is just rotten to the core, and the White House continues to come up with a silly strategy like, look, this is just a distraction. I don't think this is just a distraction. Look, we shouldn't even be having to talk about this because the Atlantic is a rag. Hello. Goldberg is a sensationalist. Hello. I don't think it's going to work. I think this thing is just compounding now, and the American people aren't stupid, and we're watching.
Well, I'm not sure, honestly, how much the American people will be interested in this media story. It's very much a media story, because these conversations were, look, it was appropriate to discuss whether to do this bombing, as they did initially with J.D. Vance saying, yes, that is appropriate. And then once they've decided to do it, it is appropriate for them to coordinate on how to do it.
Correct.
The main failing is having created a situation where these plans were leaked to the media and could have been leaked to someone hostile to America, even more hostile than the Atlantic. And perhaps doing it on the Signal platform was perhaps illegal because it does not save. I'm open to that. I think obviously government records need to be preserved so that we can make determinations about whether our political figures behaved appropriately. I do agree with that, and there are laws surrounding that. I want things to be subjected to FOIA. So I think they need to look at that seriously, whether this is the right platform for these
it's interesting because I've heard you talk about the Iraq War.
Yes.
A lot of the issues around Afghanistan, and you and I are both aware of the American war machine, and neither one of us like it. Neither one of us appreciate the blob. And you and I have similar views about what's going on in this particular instance. But I think the issue here that you and I can both agree on is the way it operates and the fact that the carelessness and the recklessness with which these plans were shared with a reporter represents, in my mind, more than just a major failing here. It's this corporate talk, this sanitized talk with which we take on a subject which is so deeply.
Oh, I don't want to sanitize it. No, in fact, I am perfectly prepared to throw Mike Waltz, who is clearly responsible, under the bus, but we're going to save that for our next
Okay, because I do want to talk about that. The idea that he's in charge
commentary, it is definitely him, and I have some unpleasant things to say about him. Coming up next, we will continue this discussion. Stay with us.